Hello my Luminites, it is Ivy and welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, hi, my name is Ivy, also known as Intuitive Ivy M here on this YouTube channel. Also, I'm known as the same thing on my paranormal and occult TikTok and Instagram channels. I am also the co-owner of an amazing spiritual business company called Unearthly Treasures, where we hand make jewelry, we hand make candles, we hand make spell jar kits and spell jar necklaces. We even have our own witchy themed mystery boxes. So including a spooky themed sesh / Samhain themed box, which I will post down below. I am the host of a podcast called the Woo Woo Podcast, a podcast for the spiritually open-minded, where we talk about the same kind of stuff that we talk about here, just in more detail. So check that out as well. Anyways, you guys, hi, my name is Ivy. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, this channel is all about the magical, the mystical, and the supernatural. So if you are into one or all three of those things, consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on that notification bell to be notified when I post. I usually post 3 times a week. Today is a magical Monday, so we are going to be talking all about a magical, amazing holiday called Samhain. When is Samhain? Samhain is October 31st to November 1st. It is on the Wiccan Wheel of the Year. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to follow the Wiccan religion to celebrate the Wheel of the Year, or just Samhain in particular. I know for me, myself, I celebrated Samhain last year. I'm celebrating Samhain this year. I haven't kept up with any other holiday for the Wheel of the Year but Samhain. So we're gonna go into what exactly Samhain is and how to celebrate it, the themes of it, all of that jazz. Also, if you guys haven't, I made a video last year about the origins of Halloween, which I will post up here somewhere, and I'll also post in the description down below. So if you guys want to check out the origins of Halloween, which includes more backstory on Samhain as well, consider watching that video. So the third and final harvest festival is Samhain, which is celebrated on October 31st or November 1st. This Sabbath basically marks the end of the season and the end of fall and the beginning of winter. So herbs are dried for winter storage, fruits and vegetables are harvested and canned and preserved, and root vegetables are dug up and stored so that they can nourish us during the cold months. So the term Samhain actually comes from an Irish word that means summer's end. So Samhain is like the most important holiday for when it comes to death and embracing death, because this is the time of the year when the days start to grow shorter and the nights start to grow longer. It is when everything that we see, including vegetables and crops, begin to die and winter starts coming about, basically. The god, or the pagan god, retreats now in the shadows during this dark season, symbolically dying and going back to the earth before being reborn again during the holiday of Yule. So there's actually a lot of Wiccans and pagans that consider this day to be the most important day in the Wheel of the Year, because it is a time when the veil between worlds, meaning aka the spirit world and our earthbound world, is thinnest. So if you want to communicate with spirits, if you want some paranormal shiznit going on in your house, this is going to be the time where that is more prominent and when you're more prone to see things like that, because the spirit world is so close to being tied into ours. Because of this, that's why we celebrate death during Halloween. Because of this, that's why we celebrate our ancestors, and the Day of the Dead is a thing, because it's during this time of the year where because of pagan traditions and ancient traditions, that this veil is thinnest. So that's where we celebrate, where we embrace all of the what's considered the more like dark things like death and ghosts and spirits. So the way that we celebrate Halloween now is very tied into old pagan traditions, which I also talked about in the video that I made last year. So as far back as ancient Greece, actually, people were offering food to their ancestors. So this is not like a new thing that started with like the Dia de los Muertos. This is like an ancient thing that traces back to ancient Greece, like being able to like, okay, we're gonna give our ancestors food and we're gonna honor our ancestors this day. We also talked about jack-o'-lanterns, and people used to leave jack-o'-lanterns out, like lit up, to scare away spirits. That is a very much an older pagan tradition as well that we still celebrate nowadays during Halloween and Samhain. So Samhain rituals will honor the god's passing and give thanks to both the god and the goddess in a Wiccan tradition. Again, this is if you're following straight Wicca. So this is where you give thanks to all the abundance that the god and the goddess have given you throughout the year. So it's basically the end of the year / the start of a new year, because it's the ending and the beginning. We also invite our ancestors. We also celebrate our ancestors and honor our ancestors, and this is also the time when we invite them into our home and our space. So you could decorate your altar with pictures of your ancestors, fallen ones, of, you know, with your favorite foods and everything like that. This is going to be the time that you do that. It's also very popular to celebrate Hecate around this time of the year, because Hecate is the goddess of the crossroads. She is the only goddess that has the keys to go to where Zeus is, to Earth, and to the underworld. She's the only one that has the keys to all 3 kingdoms. So this is a time where we celebrate her. This is also the time where she brings Persephone back to the underworld and things begin to die. And then during springtime is when Persephone comes back. Some people will put food offerings, like for me, I know this, I put garlic for her at some crossroads. Right now, because the thinning of the veil, the world, you know, the veil between worlds is very thin. Right now is the perfect time to focus on any sort of magic work that you want to do. Anything that calls upon you working with your ancestors, you working with spirits, spirit guides even, all that is going to be extra heightened during this time of the year, during Samhain. So any tarot readings, any spells that you want to do, extra powerful during this time of the month, extra powerful around Samhain, for sure, because that thinning of between worlds is very thin and spirits are able to do a lot more and are a lot stronger right now. So for the ancient Celts, Samhain was the end of the old year and it was actually the start of the new. So rather than having 4 different distinct seasons like, you know, we're used to now, the Celtic year was basically divided into 2 parts, the light half and the dark half. The year would begin with the first day of the dark half, which is November 1st. But because the Celtic day began at night, it would land on October 31st. And many Wiccans actually begin their wheel of the year this time as well. So it basically marks the new year for a lot of Wiccans out there as well. Vegetation dies because of the frost, and therefore death is literally in the air. This actually contributes to the whole ancient, you know, belief that Samhain is when the veil is the thinnest, because things literally begin to die. So they're like, okay, because everything's beginning to die, this is obviously a time where the realms are very hand in hand. Because worlds, the veil between worlds is very thin, right now is the perfect time for any sort of like a grieving rituals, because, you know, your loved ones that have passed on, you're more likely to get messages for them right now. And this is very much true. You guys know that my dog passed away 2 years ago, and she died around the 29th of October, and I would hear her, and I even saw her once around right after she died, and it could be because she died so close to during this time where the veil between the worlds is the thinnest. So now that we discussed that, let's talk about ways to celebrate Samhain in case you wanted to celebrate. And like I said, you do not have to be Wiccan to celebrate. Anybody could celebrate Samhain. One thing that you can do is go on a Samhain nature walk. So take a meditative walk around the natural area of your home and just basically enjoy fall and enjoy this new season. And you can even reflect that in yourself as well as like, okay, the old me is passing away. Literally during this time of the year specifically, your old self, along with the air, with the vegetation, it's all dying, and your rebirth is awakening during Yule. Next would be to decorate your home the Samhain way. Decorate it with Halloween themed stuff to represent, you know, the Day of the Dead. Stuff to, if you want to honor your ancestors, honor your ancestors. If you have a deity that's very tied into to Samhain, for example, you can also celebrate your deity. I mean, you should celebrate your deity regardless, but if it's tied into Samhain right now, is like an ultra like heightened holiday for your deity. Make an ancestor altar. If you have loved ones that passed, create photographs, make their favorite food and put it, you know, before them. Pray to them, talk to them, speak to them, ask them for signs. Believe me, chances are you might hear or see something. Next is to have a Feast of the Dead. So prepare for a Samhain themed dinner. Include a place setting for your table or at a nearby altar for the dead. Add an offering of every little bit of beverage and food that you have to your ancestors, as if they were really there eating with you. Invite your ancestors and your other deceased loved ones that have passed on to come and dine with you. Dine in silence, complete silence. And then after the feast, place the contents of the cup and the food for the dead outdoors in a natural location as an offering for the dead. Next is tell ancestor stories, or talk about your ancestors. Tell stories of past loved ones, memories that you have with your dear loved ones and ancestors, of those who have fallen, those who are gone. Visit the cemetery. A cemetery visit is another way that you could celebrate Samhain. Visit and tend to grave sites, especially the loved ones. Call, think of their memories. Also, doing any sort of spell work, or if you wanted to learn like tarot and oracle cards, right now is the perfect time to do that as well, and that's another good way to celebrate Samhain. So anyways, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you want like a more like detailed background to Halloween, I will post that here somewhere, a history of Halloween. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Love you guys. Bye!